A second memorial for Dr Simon Gumbi will get underway in Brakpan on the East Rand today. The pastor was known for his Sunday night show on radio, Unkulunkulu Nomuntu Umusha. His death has left the gospel and religious fraternity heartbroken due to the impact he had on his audiences. Senior pastor and co-founder of Destiny Empowered Christian Church, Dr Josh Moyo, joins us for more. Dr Moyo, appreciate your time. Our sincerest condolences on the passing of Dr Gumbi. Now, so maybe just walk us through, I suppose, your first acquaintance with the late, great Dr Gumbi.
Right. Thank you so much once again for allowing me to come to your show. And for myself, I suppose our relationship goes way back because when I was introduced to Dr Gumbi, it was actually through one of the conferences that we attended in Tabanchu in South Africa, actually, and he was the main speaker there. And from memory, I think I just fell in love with his presentation. I fell in love with the wisdom through which he delivered the scriptures, because as a young minister then, I just come out of Bible school. So I suppose I was really just attracted by the delivery of his sermons and how he sort of poised himself, a man of great revelation and at the same time very approachable, which was different, I suppose, from my introduction of other ministers that I would have seen.
Now, Apostle Moyo, you talk about your relationship with him having been built on trust, mutual respect, and a deep shared passion for spiritual growth. How did you get from knowing him, admiring him, to having him as your spiritual father and mentor?
I actually, after he finished his presentation, because I think the hunger that was in me as well, to see that you can have a great man of his stature being free to come down and talk with you. It was just I think in his build, in his stature. So when he finished his presentation, I think one of those conferences, it was a youth conference, I actually went down and greeted him. And I realized that there was something different about him, because he then wanted to know more about me, who I was. And you got to imagine, we were over probably about 5,000 young people there. And he would have known from Path Shop that I was a pastor and aspiring to be a minister of the gospel. Sat down with me and he said to me, there is something very unique about you and I want to engage you more. You got to understand that, I mean, at that point, I just thought I was just going to go and greet him, because I wanted just to sort of just, greet this great man of God who has got such an amount of wisdom, who preaches with such a profoundness. And when I sat down with him and he started asking me questions about where I was coming from, and I told him I was from Zimbabwe, and he started now explaining his story, how he was raised by his grandmother, and that it was very difficult for him to be where he is right now. So I started asking questions about how did he get that revelation of sharing the scriptures. He was very good in eschatological events and numerology, which is, the preaching with numbers. You would teach about numbers from number 1, God knows, up to when, and you will link the numbers through the Bible, such a very profound way. He was just fun to listen to, and also he was not one of those preachers who was very boring in the presentation. He would put it with a lot of jokes in there and fun, and I think that's the thing that attracted me to him. And that made me to sit down with him and want to glean more. Since then, it was the beginning of our relationship.
Now, Dr. Moyo, you talked about your first interface with Dr. Gumbi having been amongst 5,000 young people. Just walk us through his relationship with young people and his love for young people. Man,
I tell you what, I don't even know whether I've got enough time to say this to you, but one thing that I realized is that, sometimes as preachers, it's possible to love the crowds and the aura of standing on a platform without necessarily linking yourself with the people on ground. I think the thing that I loved about Dr. Gumbi was the fact that he did not just love him standing on pulpit and preaching to us as young people then, but he would come down off the pulpit and engage on you one-on-one. For me, that was the very first time I realized that there is a difference. I can love the aura and the idea of standing in front of 5,000 or more people, speaking to them. That's it. But there is another whole level for me of maturity, of moving from the pulpit and being down to the ground with these people one-on-one. And for me, that was the difference that I loved about him. He was very personal with them, and he would love to hear your story. He was very patient, as you know, even whenever he would speak with his slow motion voice, as we called him, you would enjoy to hear the heart of a father, a heart of a builder, a heart of an encourager. He was everything to us as young people growing up then, because even if he had done something wrong, you never found it pounded with the guilt and condemnation, sitting down with him and explaining what has happened in your life. That's how profound he was in that sense.
Now he had his favorite catchphrase. Did it inspire your faith? And maybe you could walk us through also your most memorable sermon that Dr. Gumbi gave.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Actually, I think one of the most powerful, impactful lessons for me was when he taught on humility and servant leadership. It inspired me actually, because from that, I think I was sharing in one of the services where he was seated. By the way, that alone actually was very, what should I say, difficult for me to have him sit down there, and I was given an opportunity to share that message. One of my first sermons that I preached, because I'd heard him articulate a lot on Jesus Christ being the Son of Man and the Son of God, the divinity and the humanity aspect of Jesus Christ. And how, I think his main scripture was from Isaiah 53, how Jesus grew up from a dry ground as the root of Jesse. And it was really, the main message for him was, you need to understand that ministry is all about that. If you can work through between understanding that Jesus Christ was not just a royalty, but Jesus Christ was also a servant. He was in human form. So that inspired much of my grounding in terms of my my theological training. So when I first took pulpit to preach while he was sitting down there, I was preaching from a text in Genesis chapter 6, and that was the one about Noah building an ark and out of this particular tree, because the inspiration that he put on me led me as well that whenever I would find a scripture, I wanted to find out the deeper meaning of where this thing was coming from. So if you read Genesis 6 verse 14, it tells you that Noah built an ark, but he built it out of a particular tree, and that tree was called gopher wood. Believe me or not, this was the first sermon that I would ever preach in front of him. He stood up and he started clapping, and of course that gave me confidence. He was such a man, okay, that when you would stand up there and preach, he would encourage you, he would push you further. If I can tell you that to where I am right now in Australia, where I've been now in Australia for more than 20 years, he said that to me, don't stop learning. Son, keep on moving forward, keep on pushing forward. You can stand in front of any audience and articulate, because the Bible is the only equipment and tool that we have. That was him.
Dr. Josh Moyo, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us and unpacking for us some of those key moments that you spent with Dr. Simon Gumbi.